Welcome to the journey. Deep inside you, there is a huge potential that is longing to call you home to itself. It is a boundless potential that is capable of creating anything and everything in our life. It's a huge presence of peace, of stillness. And in this stillness is a creativity and a genius that can give rise to anything you might want to create in your life. And yet very often, this potential seems to get blocked or obscured. And we go through life feeling like we long to get access to this greatness. We sense that it's there, and yet we don't have a means to get access to it. The journey was designed so you could get access to this potential inside, so that you could clear any of the emotional or physical blocks that might be obscuring you, so that the real joy, the juice, the love, the gusto in life that is your own nature can begin to express itself as your life. Originally, the journey was born from my own experience of healing from a very large tumor, and part of that experience was that I uncovered a means to get direct access to the infinite intelligence of the body, to the part of you that makes your heart beat, and your eyes shine, and your hair grow, to the part of you that's awake when you're asleep at night, that wakes you up when there's a noise. And once you get access to this infinite intelligence of the body, you're then guided to get access to something that is called repressed cell memories. And these are old emotional blocks that get stored inside the body that seem to hold us back from being fully expressed in our life, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And so what happens with the journey process is you go on a journey inside yourself, and you actually go inside and uncover these repressed cell memories. And you release the stored pain, and then you go through a process of forgiveness so that the body and the being can go about its own process of healing. Now, in my particular case, I actually had a tumor, and I healed in 6.5 weeks' time. And so now this process is being used in hospitals, in prisons, in schools, in addict centers. It's being used by victims of violent crime. And mainly it's being used by people from all walks of life who know that in some way they feel held back or blocked in some way. So it can be the kind of thing where you know that you deserve a raise, and you turn the door handle to go ask your boss for a raise. And just as you hear the boss's voice, something inside goes, ugh, I just can't do it. And so you shut the door and you go back to your desk and eat another muffin and slog some more coffee back. And you go out that night and moan with your friend at the pub that you just didn't get a raise. And yet all of us have these silent saboteurs inside that seem to shut us down when our potential is coming out. And there's a reason for this. What science has found is any time you have a strong emotion and you repress it, what it does is it releases a chemistry into your bloodstream, which will go to certain cell receptors and block them, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. Now, if those cell receptors remain blocked over a long period of time, then if disease is going to happen in the body, there's a likelihood or propensity for it to happen in the part of the body where the cell receptors are blocked. Conversely, what's also been found to be true is that when our emotions are expressed healthily and naturally and wholesomely, our cell receptors remain open. And so what the journey process enables you to do is to go on a journey inside yourself and uncover these repressed cell memories that are stored inside the body. But it's not enough to just get access to these old memories. You need to actually have a process whereby you can release the stored pain and come to a place of understanding and mainly completion, and forgiveness. And in this way, you free yourself from the block, and your body and your being can go about the process of healing. What has been learned about cellular healing is this, is that our cells inside the body all replicate at varying speeds. So for instance, if you've ever had a suntan, and I know most of us are very conscious not to get suntans these days, but most of us have had a suntan at some point or another. Have you ever noticed in about 3 weeks' time, your tan fades? Well, that's because it takes your skin cells 3 weeks to regenerate. Your liver cells take 6 weeks. Your stomach lining takes only 3 days. And the one that just seems almost incomprehensible are the eye cells. If you touch your eyes right now, you'll notice that they feel quite firm, don't they? And yet, do you know that in less than 48 hours, you will have an all-new eyeball? This is almost impossible for the thinking mind to conceive of, except that recently my mom had an eye operation where they slit her eye open, inserted a lens, put the flap back, and put a patch on, and only a day and a half later, she could see clearly. They took her patch off and she could see clearly. That's how quickly our eye cells replicate. As a matter of fact, there won't be a single molecule in your body a year from now that was here today. But people began to ask, and specifically doctors began to ask, well, why is it that if our cells are constantly regenerating, why is it when you look at a liver that's riddled with cancer in January, why would it be riddled with cancer in June? It's a good question to ask, isn't it? Because we know that the liver regenerates itself every 6 weeks. And what was postulated at the time that I had a tumor 10 years ago was that stored inside the degenerative cells are these repressed cell memories. And before the degenerative cell dies, it passes on its consciousness and its memory to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation is then created as an exact replica of the previous cell generation. And so this consciousness of this old memory and this old pain gets passed on from one cell generation to the next cell generation to the next cell generation. And what science has found is what successful survivors have in common was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to these old repressed cell memories. And if they not only got access to them, but went through a process of releasing the stored pain and coming to a place of forgiveness, then it was possible that that old cell memory would not be passed on to the next cell generation. So the next cell was then born as a new regenerative cell. Now, I understood all this science. I had read all the medical textbooks, seen the case studies, and actually witnessed that cellular healing was possible. But no one had given us a method. And part of the amazing gift of my own healing journey was that spontaneously, the grace of my own body and being revealed to me a direct, repeatable, step-by-step method to get access to that infinite intelligence of your own body. And then to get access to, and turn the flashlight on inside, and get access to these old repressed cell memories so that we can finally let them go, so that the body and the being can heal. And so now this has turned into what is now called the journey. And there are two different processes that are available in the journey. There's the physical journey, which takes you on a journey inside your body and helps you get access to these memories and clears them so that your body and being can heal. And then there's the emotional journey, which is a very profound process in which you peel back the emotional layers and you open into a presence of peace inside, into a great love, into a wellspring of joy inside. You get direct access to the infinite intelligence of your own being. And it's from there that this inner wisdom then reveals to you what the root cause is of your surface emotional issue. And you go through a process of then facing that old issue, clearing it, letting it go, so that both the body and the being can go about the process of healing. So they're very, very powerful processes. Now, the good news is, it doesn't seem to matter what your background is, what your age is, what your religious background is. Everyone is capable of going about the process of doing the journey. Everyone's capable of getting in touch with their own soul, finding their own answers, clearing their own issues. And then it's up to the grace of the body to go about the process of healing naturally. Now, this process has been successful with healing things like emotional issues that you might have, from anger to fear, to sadness, to loss of loved ones, to divorce issues, issues of abuse, issues where you felt just a deep, low self-esteem. I've worked with gentlemen who've been heads of corporations, and yet when they undergo the process, they are able to clear a deep-seated feeling of low self-esteem and clear that out so that they're able then to give a speech in front of the board of directors and feel at ease with themselves and in a place of elegance when they're giving a speech. And I've worked with people that no matter how much work they've done on themselves, they weren't able to clear the grief that they've felt at the loss of a loved one. And with the journey process, they were finally able to complete with that loved one and come to a place of peace. I've worked with people who had issues of rape, people who've been through abuse, with rage. It doesn't seem to matter what our emotional issue is. You are capable of getting in touch with your own wisdom inside. You are capable of clearing your own issues. And there's a huge presence of peace waiting there inside that's calling you home to yourself. In that peace is a profound presence of stillness, of love, and of wisdom. And your own essence is calling you home to experience that wisdom inside, to experience your own potential. We've also worked with people who've been diagnosed with everything from cancer to brain tumors to arthritis. One woman had arthritis so strongly and so acutely that she couldn't even put her bedclothes on. It was so excruciating. Crohn's disease, with depression, chronic fatigue, allergies, asthma, eczema, on and on. Issues of migraines, issues of having colds, viruses. All of us are capable of going on a physical journey inside ourselves, getting access to these old, stored, repressed cell memories and clearing them. And with all of these instances that I've spoken about, people have been successful in healing themselves. And so now hundreds of thousands of people worldwide are using the journey to help heal both emotional issues and physical challenges. It's why it's being used in cancer hospitals, why it's being used by psychologists, psychiatrists, by business people. And what's been so moving is what has been happening in schools. And specifically, in South Africa, there was a beautiful woman there who's a school teacher, and she herself had been diagnosed with adult acne. And it was so severe, it was scarring her face. And of course, she went the medical route and tried to get medication prescribed, and nothing was healing it. Then she went the alternative route, and still she was not successful in healing. Finally, someone gave her the Journey book, and she thought, what have I got to lose? I'll do the process in the back of the book. And when she underwent her healing journey, she got access to the memory of when her dad died, and how she repressed all that, and how she'd been so strong. And she'd been strong for everyone in the family, but she'd never released the stored pain. And it was all festering there inside of her. And indeed, the adult acne had started after her dad had died. Not only did she release this pain, but she came to a place of understanding and completion with her dad and wholeness. Now, her little daughter had been diagnosed with asthma and allergies that were so severe that her mother said it was almost as if she was allergic to life. And her daughter was allergic to hay, grass, nuts, milk. She was allergic to soya. She was allergic to dogs.